fellow mech warriors, Mage Leader here. Alright, look, I'm not complaining or anything, but how the hell are there so many of you? When we stopped in Canopus, my instructions were simple. Don't add to the population, and don't subtract from the population. You guys clearly ignored the first part because now there's over 1,000 of you in here. If this keeps up, we're going to need a bigger dropship. Well, anyway, I'm glad you're all here, and I hope you enjoy my little BPL knockoff brand until the lawsuit inevitably rolls in. Welcome to Mage Squadron. Today, we're going to be going over a mech that our pilots get a lot of use out of. What many of our pilots would call the definitive light mech. Unlike many of the mechs we've discussed thus far that have been around for centuries, this one is a more recent challenger. While it's not my absolute favorite, I can't deny that it's a snazzy little machine that does its job and does it incredibly well. That's right, today we're going to talk about the Wolfhound. The Wolfhound is one of the most popular light mechs in existence, an excellent combination of speed and firepower that can run circles around its competition even after the OP invasion. It was first produced in 3028 by Tharis Industries. Unlike most designs, which are conceptualized more or less entirely by the manufacturer, the Wolfhound was a commissioned invention straight from the desk of Lyran Commonwealth Archon Katrina Steiner. No, the real Katrina Steiner. There we go. At the time, the LCAF had a little bit of a problem. It's no secret that Lyran military leadership often... well, let's just say that not all millionaire sons are created equal. The Lyran Commonwealth is a place of great wealthy merchants, and of course that leads to a lot of less than qualified men purchasing positions as a way for little Timmy to earn some prestige with which to compensate for his otherwise less than impressive endowments. While this was all well and good for the noble families, it didn't tend to pan out so well for the underpaid grunts on the ground. Yeah, it turns out that when you put someone in command who doesn't know the first thing about how the military works, things go a little bit sideways. Who knew? House Steiner had been feuding with House Kurita since, well, basically since they both started existing. Saying that they fought each other a couple times is like saying a clanner occasionally kills someone over a contest of honor. This led to a lot of really nasty things happening to the Russelhog district, which was inconveniently sandwiched between the two bigger nations, and anyone who's ever been on the Holonet knows that when three people are smashing, the person in the middle rarely comes out completely intact. The battles were particularly destructive because of the Lyran affinity for bigger, stompier mechs. After all, why bother with pesky things like logistics and strategy when you can just throw tons of firepower at your enemy and hope for the best? I know the Steiner Scout Lance is something of a meme, but that's because there's a kernel of truth in there. Yes, bigger mechs are harder to maintain and more expensive to replace, but the Lyran Commonwealth has deep enough pockets to support that approach, so it's often what they go for. It doesn't take a military genius to know that having more guns than your enemy is probably a good thing, and this philosophy had earned the Lyran success despite the ineptitude of many commanders. There was just one problem. Kurita had learned how to counter their strategy. Assault mechs may be some of the most terrifying things ever built by human hands, but they're slow and ponderous, making them easy targets for battlemechs that don't like to play by the rules. The Drax had always liked their scout mechs, and the Jenner and Panther in particular had proven to be the Achilles heel of many a Steiner recon lance. Any of you who've driven an assault and had a light mech in your rear arc know firsthand why these little ankle biters can be such a massive problem. The Commonwealth's successes began to fall further and further apart, until finally Katrina Steiner had an idea. She would commission a machine to deal with these Kuritan assholes. After all, if what you're doing isn't working, you should probably abandon it and try something else rather than continue to bang your head against the wall. Hey! Who the fuck put that slide in there? The Wolfhound saw action in the Fourth Succession War, where it performed even beyond expectations. When faced with its intended targets, it wiped the floor with them, as well as many of the other mechs of its weight class. The default variant was the WLF-1, which carried a large laser and 4 medium lasers, one of which was mounted into the rear firing arc to surprise anyone foolish enough to try and slip behind it. That might sound like a lot of heat to manage, and it was, but later variants would introduce a little bit of overpowered clan bullshit to the mix by giving it a crapload of double heatsinks. This new model, the WLF-2, was produced in 3052 and would become the new standard, replacing the large laser with an extended range variant and moving the rear-mounted medium laser to the front. In battle, the Wolfhound serves a similar role to the Cicada, being a light mech killer, but unlike the Cicada, it's actually good at other things too. It has a top speed of 97.2 kph, which makes it fast enough to be a scout. It has a short profile, making it difficult to hit, and it provides extra protection for the pilot by ejecting the entire head section during an emergency evacuation, which makes it a fantastic mech for company commanders. It can rush in, lay down some hurt, then disappear just as quickly. It also has one of the lowest attrition rates of any light mech, making it the perfect choice for those of us who like to survive their firefights. Jenna, take notes. The Wolfhound was an instant hit when it was released, and the mech's survivability, combined with the loyalty of Tharis Industries, kept the design in the Lyran Commonwealth for many years. The Curetans did manage to capture a few, and even made their own variant from the salvaged parts, but it never caught on with them. They prefer mechs that are cheap and allow pilots to die glorious deaths for their emperor or whatever the fuck, so a mech that isn't complete trash went against that little bit of their culture. This is purely because the Draconis Combine is pure evil, and not because I have a personal vendetta against them. Nope, not at all. If you manage to snag yourself a Wolfhound, put it with the rest of your scouts. It's great for leading or just spearheading recon lances, and it packs enough punch to serve as a striker. Slip it behind your enemies while they aren't looking, and make them wish they'd never been born. Have it run in, melt something important, then sprint away before anyone knows what happened. Alternatively, you could have it escort your assault lance and chase away those pesky locusts and such. An Atlas is powerful, but an Atlas you can't run circles around is unstoppable. So that's the Wolfhound. It's the new kid on the block, the mech your girlfriend tells you not to worry about. It came from the top of Steiner society, a solution to a long-standing problem and a testament to the real Katrina Steiner's quality leadership. More than that, it's proof that Lyrans can, in fact, sometimes, learn from their mistakes. But I'm sure a lot of you don't care about the history, so I'll summarize it for you. It goes fast and it kills shit. What more do you want? Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave some feedback down below, and consider registering yourself with Mage Squadron by pressing the subscribe button on your way out. Your support is always appreciated. Until next time, this is Mage Leader, signing off.